Hey, this is Chris with Skuid. I'm a pre-sales engineer here. And for chapter 2 of our webinar series, we're going to do two things today. We're first going to create a lot of data just to be able to set up our account hierarchy and have it make a little bit more sense. If you've just spun up a sandbox or a dev org, there's not a lot of account hierarchy records in there. So there's not a lot of global parents and child accounts and opportunities looking at those child accounts, all those kinds of things. So we're going to go ahead and quickly just create some records, which will, one, be really useful for our application, but also just show how with Skuid, how easy it is to be able to quickly create a lot of different records on multiple objects on the same page. It's really, really powerful. The second part then of today is going to focus on laying out the page and starting to get the look and feel to be a little bit more like what the design in Figma that we were provided with looks like. So getting our list together and some of these tiles, some of the text labels, our chart, and some of the listing for our child accounts. But right now, let's go ahead and create some data. So from Skuid Central, we're going to go up to Compose, New Page. Just going to call this Quick Create. You can call it whatever you'd like. API version 2, Create Page. And so we're wanting to create account records and opportunity records for our application. So in order to do that, I'm just going to need two models, one looking at accounts. So we'll call this accounts. Point it at the account object in Salesforce. And I'm going to untick the box query on page load because we don't want to return records. We're just creating records. And then for the fields that I want to bring in, I'm going to do the name. You go up to my search actually. And I want to bring in the billing city, the state, and the country. Awesome. So I've got those. And now that I've got, oh, and parent account, because when we add some child accounts, we want to be able to update that parent account. So I've got that. And now I'm going to add a model looking at opportunities. So we'll just call this ops. Look at the opportunity object, untick the box again. And for the fields, we want to definitely grab the lookup to accounts. We can tie them together. And then the name, the amount, and again, I'm just typing and then tabbing to select the box, and then space bar to tick the box, and then the focus goes back to the search, which is super useful. Lets you not have to lift your fingers from the keyboard. So close date and then stage is the last one I'm going to grab. Cool, so we'll do a save there, Command S or Control S, or you can click the button at the top. And now we've got our models on the page, or our models in the page, we can get a responsive grid, because I don't really want tables slammed up against the sides. And we'll add a couple divisions, get our middle division, min width set to 60%. And now we can quick create our tables. So double click the model, create a table, drag it up here in the middle, double click the ops model, create our table component, pop it up underneath that one. And we'll just give some spacing so these tables have a little bit of room to breathe in between them. And the responsive grid will give that some top spacing as well, just so it's not right on the top of our page. Make that extra large. Okay, so we've got the two tables. No data is coming back because we're just going to be creating records here. And so to create records, we need a global action. So we'll add a global action. We'll call this new account. Actions, we'll add an action. This is now hooking into our action framework, which is awesome. And we'll get into that later in the application. There's a ton of really cool stuff you can do here. For now, we just need create new rows. Make sure it's in the accounts model, and the rest of these fields are fine. So we want it to be at the start in edit mode. Rows and context is great. So that'll create a new account record, and then a mass action, because we want to be able to quickly update several of the child accounts to look up to the same parent. Let's call this mass update. This time the action will be a mass update rows action. And that's all we need. And then real quick, I'm going to do the same thing for the opportunity table. So global action, call it new op. Action is create new rows. And make sure it's creating rows in the ops model. It's cool that you can choose which ones because that gives you the ability to, let's say you're looking at a table for like this, like the opportunity object, and for whatever reason you want to be able to create a row on accounts or somewhere else. There's just a lot of flexibility in terms of where you can create records and all that kind of stuff. Really cool. But for now, we definitely just want to create an opportunity record when we click that button. We'll also add a mass update here because we want to be able to quickly update the account lookups on those opportunities to the childs that we create. So that action is mass update rows, and we're good. So save, Command S, Control S, and let's just take a look at this. I don't need the record type ID in this table, and account name field I won't need. The rest is fine. These fields are still in the model. They're still getting queried. This is just me choosing which fields are going to be presented in the UI in the actual component. So save. Let's preview. And there won't be any records coming back because we said not to query. So it's just sitting there. So now, though, we can create our records. So there's our new account button. So I'll just hit that 3 times, actually. So this is really nice. You can create a bunch all kind of at the same time, not just one at a time. So we'll do Nautilus Core Global. We're going to have a very nautical theme for all these accounts. And we're putting global in here because when we're doing our account hierarchy page, we're just going to put a condition on our account model to only bring back accounts where global is in the name. And that'll just make it easier to just work with the data that we're creating now. So for Nautilus Core Global, we're going to have the billing city, put it in New York. And the state, then obviously would be New York, USA. I'm just going to copy that across there. We're going to leave the parent account IDs blank because right now we're making the global parents. So again, nautical Humboldt. It's actually a really cool squid. You should check it out. Technologies Global. And we'll put them in San Francisco. Well, West Coast representation, California. And then for the last one, we'll do Blue Shoals Global. And Miami, Florida. Awesome. Okay, so let's save that. Cool, so we've got some account records. Now, for the sake of time, I'm just going to create a few child accounts for Nautilus Core. And then later we can go back on our own and just fill in and add a few more child accounts, maybe add a few more parent accounts and childs. But just wanted to show you how to quickly do this to fill out some of this data so that your application has a lot of account hierarchies going on. So I'll add 3 more, and this time I'm going to make these childs of Nautilus Core. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to call this Nautilus Core Mia. I'm going to copy that text so it's a little bit faster. Nautilus Core APAC and Nautilus Core, let's do South America. I'm not going to worry about billing cities, states, or countries for these, but what I am going to do is I want to update these parent accounts, and this is where that mass update comes in handy. So I'll take the box over here, and I'm going to hit mass update. So there's all the fields that are in my table that I can mass update. And now I'm just going to update that parent account to be the Nautilus Core Global that we just created. Then I'll hit apply. Boom. So that's really easy. So we'll save. Now those are all looking up to Nautilus Core Global. So I'm going to create a few opportunities. And let's tie this one to Nautilus Core APAC. And we'll call this Nautilus Core APAC and new, something like that. Okay, so now we will add this one. We'll do this to Nautilus Core APAC as well. Could be using the mass update, but I'll just stick with this. And the reason I'm calling it the same as the name, the account name, is I just want you all to be able to see that context is getting set correctly when we are building these out. So let's not actually do that. So Nautilus Core APAC, Nautilus Core APAC, great. We'll put in 175,000, and for this one, I'll do 250,000. Close date, again, doesn't really matter. Just pick a date, whatever you'd like. And stage, we'll do qualification and ID decision makers. Okay, so we'll save that. And now, again, kind of extrapolating from here, I would say on your own time, just go through and create opportunities for each of the child accounts, and maybe create some more child accounts so that each of these global parents has child accounts, and that'll just give us some good data to work with. But just want to show you how to go about doing that. And then also just to see kind of what's happening. Again, remember, Skuid is just allowing you to configure the UI. All of the data is sitting in Salesforce. It's all Salesforce data. And to show you kind of what's happening from a Salesforce Lightning view, you can just click Nautilus Core Global, open that in a new tab. This will take us to the Lightning record. And from there, we can just check and see our account hierarchy, the out-of-the-box Lightning account hierarchy view, and see what's going on. So not sure where yours might be, how you've configured yours. Mine is in this drop-down. I guess I could move that up. So I'll hit View Account Hierarchy, and cool. So there's our accounts. I can see APAC, EMEA, South America. If I hover over APAC, I can see the opportunities that we just created as well are there. So everything's great. Everything's tied together. That's awesome. Let's head back to Skuid Central, and then we can head back from here into our page that we've been working on, and then start, with the different laying out of those components, and start to get a little bit closer to that design requirement in Figma. All right, so now that we're in Skuid Central, we're going to pull up the page that we were working on from chapter 1. You can go to that by hovering over Compose and then hitting All Pages. And then this will bring in the list of all the Skuid pages, and you're going to want to just click the little cogs or gears to the left of your page name. That takes you straight into the App Composer. So what I like to do when I'm building out a page is, this is, if you recall from chapter 1, this is all the data that we were bringing to the page, just to kind of get a sense of what all is there and understand relationships between it. This is still useful during the build, so I don't really want to get rid of this. And so what I'll do is I'll grab a tab set component, and I'll just drop that down. I'll add a tab, just label this tab Data, and then I'll drag this responsive grid with all my tables up into that tab. And then back here, just leave this tab blank. I don't really need it. I'll start building the page underneath this tab set, and that just gives me the ability to quickly kind of pop over and see what the data is, just as a reference point. So now, before we begin building out the page to match the look and feel that we're getting from our designers who've built this nice high fidelity wireframe in Figma, I'm going to make some tweaks to the models just to kind of get closer to what we're actually going to be leveraging for the page. So for the models that we've made, I'm going to change this to be the account list, because I'm trying to keep track now of all the different models that we're going to be using for the page. So this is going to be account list. I'm going to change the parameter to be account records where the name includes, or contains rather, global. So we'll switch that to a single specified value. Just type in global, and we're going to leave that condition always on. And so that's where, from the data that we were creating to use for this application, we're just making sure we're only going to bring that stuff in. In a production environment, or where you've got account hierarchies, that's not going to be a problem, but we just want to focus on that subset of data just to make sure everything's working well in like a sandbox or dev org where there's perhaps not all those existing records. So that's why we're doing that. Account records rename contains global, so that's good. Then I'm going to clone this model, and we'll drag that up to right underneath the account list. I'm going to call this the account viewer. And this model is, we're going to adjust this ID, but it's going to be what is going to supply this top level information over here. So we've got that first model, which is going to be bringing in our list of all those global accounts. And now once we click on one of these, we need the detail for that account over here. And that's what the model is that we're working on right now. So for account viewer, I need to change this condition to be the account ID is equal to field from another model. And we're going to just attach it essentially to our account list, but we're going to make the condition filterable default on. And so this means on page load, the first thing in the list, it's going to populate on the right side of the page, but it's filterable so that as we're clicking through this list on the left, it's going to update and just pass in whatever ID we click on over into the detail pane. And so we're building that out today. So account records or ID, filterable default on. Perfect. So the next thing I'm going to do is bring that back up. And now I'm going to put some components on the canvas. So go back to our components on the top left, responsive grid, drag that below the tab set. And we're going to add 2 divisions because right now we're starting to flesh out this left column and this right column. So that's what we're on right now. On the left side, then we have that list of accounts. So I'm going to bring the list component down over here on the right and make sure it's pointed at my account list model. And then I'm going to add a template field. And the reason I'm adding a template field is because it's going to let me, for when we bring in the billing state, put multiple fields together in a single line, which is really useful. So this top level one, though, is just the name of the account. And I'm going to do triple curly braces. What that does is if it was just double curly braces, this would be a hyperlink to that account record, but we don't want users to click that in this list. We just want them to interact with that list to load more details. And so the triple curly braces just strips away that link and leaves just the name itself of the account. So now I'm going to click on the column because I want to add some subfields template. And for this is where we are bringing in that billing information. So billing, I want the city and I actually want the country, and we forgot to add that to our model. So let me just do that real quick. So this is the account list, billing country. Okay, cool. So let's go back here. And now we can add that field to our template. And I'm going to open the code editor and put a space in there. You can also put words in here or dashes, whatever it may be. But for now, we just need city, country is fine. So Skuid will merge in then the city and country that correspond to that account name. Then below that, we're actually going to get fancy here. This was not in the design, but this is really cool and useful. It just gives the end user the ability to understand, hey, are there child accounts in this list of accounts? And so the way that we're going to do that is on our account list. When you click on the fields, over here on the right, you see this child relationships. This is really powerful. And so the Skuid lets you actually look at the child related like the fields that are looking up to this particular account. And the one we're interested in is child accounts. So this is looking at the field where the account, is looking up to that parent ID. And so by bringing that into our model, what this allows us to do then is we can use a template again, use merge syntax to do a length, basically like a function on that field. And so this is documented in docs.skuid.com. We can provide a link to that resource. But for now, what we have to do is just the name of the model. So the name of the field, child accounts, dot records dot length. And then close that with curly braces. And then we're just going to write child accounts. And so that's going to return however many records there are of child accounts that look up to this particular account. Really, really cool, super useful, pretty awesome. So the child accounts, knowing what to type there is just the name of that field right there, child accounts, all one word, dot records dot length. So let's save that. And now let's get a table over here on the right, and we're just going to use this table to kind of validate that, again, data is working correctly in terms of some of these interactions, because we want to be able to click on this list and then see the corresponding account over here. So this table, we want to be our account viewer. And actually, instead of doing it that way, I'm going to do the quick create because I don't want to add all those fields twice. So account viewer, double click that model, table, awesome. That's better. So account viewer, and this is where that's filterable. We set that up. So let's preview this page, see what we've got. Cool. So by default, it's just doing the first record that's coming through in our list. And you can see 3 child accounts. That's really awesome because remember when we were setting this up, we created Nautilus Core EMEA, APAC, and South America, which are all childs to Nautilus Core Global. So really useful to just be able to bring in that insight and know before I click into it, this has some child accounts. So this is working as expected. We don't have click interactions yet on this list. So we're going to want to do that and make sure that if I click Humboldt, that this is updating to Humboldt. So let's do that. So on the list component, there's the interactions property. And so we're going to add an interaction. It's going to be a click. And here in the action framework, we are going to activate and set the value of a model condition, because the model condition we want to activate is the one right here for account viewer, the one that we made filterable, default on. And so we are activating that condition in the account viewer model, and that condition was ID. And now we can choose what we want to pass into that condition. We want to pass in the account ID. And so what's happening there is we are, for the account viewer, we're basically updating the SOCL query. And so we're saying, hey, when I click on, Baxter Industries or whatever, then go and bring back the account where the ID is equal to the ID for Baxter Industries. So let me save that. Oh, actually, the really important step is once you activate that condition, then you need to query it again. So let's do a query model action, and we'll select the account viewer. So that's what we want to query. That's the model that we're putting that condition on, and we'll hit save. So now let's refresh our page. And you'll notice there's some hover states now on this list that just comes in. We'll design those later. You can adjust that however you want, but that's just kind of the default hover state, which is nice. So this is showing Nautilus Core Global. If I click on Humboldt Technologies, nice, that's working. Great. So that's awesome. So now we know that the list is correctly querying our other model, which is giving us that sort of account view. And now we want to get the child accounts that are all tied to whatever that model is that we've clicked on at the top. So open up our models again. We'll just clone this model. This is such a convenient way of, instead of creating a new model every single time, we're wanting to use, these fields. It's just really easy to just clone and then kind of make some tweaks as opposed to starting from scratch every single time. Appreciate the engineers that made that possible. So for this condition though, or actually let's rename this because we want it to be really clear kind of what this one is doing. We'll make that child accounts. That is pretty clear. And we will change this condition now to say, we don't want the account records where the ID is equal. We actually are looking now to compare the parent ID. So I only want account records where parent ID is equal to still field from another model, but this time it's the account viewer. Because remember, so if I click Humboldt, the account viewer is going to update with that particular record. And now I want the child accounts where the parent is equal to that account name. This is super fun and really, really powerful to be able to kind of put all this stuff together this easily. So account records where parent ID is the value of the ID, first row returned by the account viewer model. This condition, named ID, can be modified by filters and is on by default. So that is also similar to the other one. It's just on by default, which means on page load, the first one, it's going to load in those records. So that's great. So to verify, you may have guessed, we're just going to create a table real quick. Drag that up here. Now though, the list, this model, we need to requery that once that condition has been activated. So let me open this up. After account viewer is queried, we're going to do a query models action because we're going to eventually end up querying a good bit of models once this one has its ID in it. And so for query model, I'm going to do child accounts. So this sequence runs top to bottom, and you can do really powerful things just in building out sequences where the user makes one click and then a lot of different actions happen. And we're starting to see some of that power in this interaction. So now when I click on my account, we are going to update and return a result where Nautilus Core Global is, whatever. And this is displaying because, again, it's the first in the list, and by default, we're querying. That's awesome. Now, when I click here, that will disappear because there's no records. We don't have any childs there looking up, and same for Blue Shoals. But when we go back to Nautilus Core, then it's bringing it all in. So we've got 3 models all looking at the account object, but each with different conditions on them, which is allowing us to get a really dynamic display here to understand sort of the data across these relationships, across these hierarchical relationships. And just for kicks, real quick, since we've got the page open, I'm just going to create a new child account for Humboldt, and we'll call this Humboldt, North America. Won't worry about those. And then parent ID, Humboldt Global. Save that. And now we'll go back to this page. We'll refresh. And awesome. So now we can see, okay, there is one for Humboldt now. So if I click Humboldt, there is our child account. Really awesome. Okay, so now that we've got that working, that's great. So we know we've got those interactions coming through. Let's improve this design a little bit, because this definitely did not call for a few tables right here. So we're going to add spacing and divisions for each of these KPIs and the chart. So back to responsive grid. You'll use responsive grid components a lot. They're really powerful. And we're actually putting a responsive grid inside a division of a responsive grid. And we're going to add 2 divisions, because eventually, we're not doing this today, but eventually we're going to have those cases and add cases. And so we need that as a space for those buttons over there. So I need a text component. I'm going to drag that over. And I'm going to give this the model context of the account viewer, because we want this to show the name of the account that was clicked on. And once you give a text component model context, when you click on it again, it'll say insert fields. And this lets you just use the field picker to put those in there. You could just type this out, but that's also convenient too, to use the field picker. I'm doing the triple curly braces again because I don't want folks to be able to click on this. And then I'm going to clone this text component right below. And this time I'm going to insert the billing state, the billing state and the city. Wow, sorry, billing city and billing state. So we'll apply. And we're going to put a comma there and a space just to format that correctly. That is tied to the account viewer. That's great. Awesome. So let's check that real quick. Make sure that's looking good. So Nautilus Core Global, New York, New York, Humboldt, perfect. Very cool. All right. So now below that then, so going back to Figma, we've got our KPI tiles. So let's do another responsive grid. Drag that below here. We need 3 divisions. So I'll add 2. Then we're going to put a wrapper component inside of each of these, because eventually we're going to style that wrapper to have this nice like sort of gray background and the rounded borders. But for now, I'm just putting the wrapper in there, and then a text component. And we don't need model context for this because we're just hard coding it to say child accounts. And we'll center that text. And then I'm going to clone this and clone that again, and then just update the text here. So this middle one is pipeline, and this last one is open cases. So we aren't going to do the aggregations yet. We'll save that for later to do aggregate queries to bring back the actual KPI values, but we just have placeholders there. So we'll save, refresh, we should see text. We won't see those background with the nice borders because we haven't designed them yet, but perfect. We've got those three now spread out nicely on the top there. And because that stuff being scrunched up on the side is already bothering me, we're going to drag a wrapper down, put the responsive grid in it. We're just going to add some spacing all around this wrapper of regular. Cool. And then the list, now that we've got this information, those KPI tiles, this is also narrower, obviously, than this right side. So let's just adjust that. We can do that in the division property over here. I'm going to make the flex ratio just half, or 0.5. And then this division, I'm going to up that to 2. And so this will just scale based on the screen width to a ratio of 2 to 0.5. So we'll go ahead and save there. Don't need to go look at the runtime. We'll just keep building a little bit further. So I'm going to get rid of these tables because we don't need them anymore. We know our interactions are working well. The next thing I want to add is a chart. So let's bring our chart down underneath here. And we are going to update our model now because we want this to be looking at the child accounts opportunities. So for ops open, we're going to call this child accounts open ops. So all the opportunities that relate to all of the child accounts. And we are going to update the opportunity records for account ID. This time, instead of equals, we're going to say is in. This is really, really powerful because now instead of having opportunities related to a single account, we're bringing back all the opportunities related to all the child accounts, which is a really powerful view and with full interaction on all of those as well. So opportunity records, where field from another model, we want that to be our child accounts model now because that model is holding all of our child accounts. So that looks good, always on. And we are going to set if there's no rows in the source model, then we're going to abort the model's query. And that means if we hadn't done that, it would just return all opportunities. If there weren't any opportunity records like where this criteria matched, we actually don't want to do this. It'd be better to just keep it blank and not show a bunch of unrelated opportunities. So helpful property right there. The rest is good. And let's quick create a table. Bring it under the chart. The chart's not going to have any data in it yet because we haven't pointed it to a model, but we want to make sure the opportunities is getting the right data. And what we need to do is add that to our list of interactions on the list component to query that model so that it's updated with the ID that's in the child accounts. So models to query child accounts, and now we also want that to query the child account ops open. So let's refresh, see what's coming in now. So those top two tables will be gone. We'll have our empty chart. So Nautilus Core, there's our opportunities for Nautilus Core. We don't have any for Humboldt, so that should clear out. It does. Same for Blue Shoals, that clears out. But Nautilus Core has those two opportunities that were recreated on APAC. So real quick, just again, show how this is working. Let's create another opportunity. This time we'll tie it to Humboldt. North America, and keep our naming convention, Humboldt, NA, and we'll give this a 300, it's getting some big deals, 300,000. All right, close date, scooch this one out, and we'll put this in value prop, sure. So let's save that, go back to our runtime. And so now when I click on Blue Shoals, that won't return anything, but Humboldt now is bringing back our opportunity. And the reason I didn't have to refresh this page is because the query is happening as I'm clicking on this. So I don't have to refresh the whole page to check on that. I'm requerying that object every time I click on this interaction. So you can start to see then how just how powerful this is in terms of understanding and seeing this data across all those things and then tying these relationships together as well. Really, really cool. So the last piece, as we're coming up here at the end of chapter 2, is we're going to get our chart looking a little bit better and then add the deck at the bottom to iterate through all of our child accounts. So For the chart, we want this to look at our ops open. So we just configured that model. We can clear out the title here. The axes of the chart, if you go to categories, we want the category to be the template, and we're going to merge in the stage. That's how we're going to sort the categories on the chart. And then the series, add a series, and we want to do an aggregate function of sum on the amount field. And we're also going to split this by field of stage name, and you can leave the type as chart default. For the chart basics, we want this to be a column chart based on our design. And then for the display properties, we're going to turn off the legend and the data labels. And we're going to put another text component label right above the chart. And that is going to say pipeline by stage. So pipeline by stage. Cool. All right, let's check and see how this looks. So for Nautilus, we'll have those two opportunities, yep, with each of those stages. Awesome. And then Humboldt should just have the, let's see. Oh yeah, the value prop, there it is. And Blue Shoals shouldn't have anything. Perfect, okay. Almost done. So now at the bottom of the page, we don't need that table anymore. We've seen that it's doing what we need it to do. We're gonna add another text component, and we are going to call this one, we're gonna put the text in there that says child accounts. Then I'm gonna put another wrapper below this, just to kind of keep everything nice and organized inside of this container. Wrapper's a really good container. And we are going to add a deck component. And a deck iterates through records. So for every child account, it's going to create a new card for us. And to do that, I'm going to point it at our child accounts model. And then I'm going to get a text component, bring it into the deck. That's also going to be on child accounts. And then we're going to bring in the name of that account. So account name. So we'll save. And we'll preview, and it'll just have like a bunch of cards kind of vertical, or horizontal, like we see now. So Nautilus Core EMEA. So it's iterating through, and it's finding in a child account for each of these. If I update to Humboldt Technologies, then we've got our one child account there, and then Blue Shoals does not have any. So the last thing we're going to do is for this deck, we're going to change the card to have a minimum width of 100%. We just want this to kind of stack like our design in Figma is required. And with that in place, we'll go ahead and hit save, check our runtime, and we should be good for chapter 2. Let's see how that's looking. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So did a lot today, but would definitely encourage you all to go back and fill out some more information here just to make this a little bit more exciting. But basically, we've got a few different models on this page, several all looking at the account object with some different conditions on them. And then we've also got our opportunity model where we're tying in opportunities to all the different child accounts. We don't have a table yet to display the opportunities. That's coming through in the chart. But from our test table, we can see that that's coming through correctly. And then if we flip over to our data tab, so again, it's just throwing everything up above what we've built below. I can see that Nautilus is working correctly. So yeah, really fun day. I know we packed through a lot. Feel free to review the recording and reach out if you've got any questions. Thanks so much.